Diverfarming has been a full adventure since the very beginning. We wanted to apply for a project to increase the resilience of the agricultural systems, to increase sustainability, to work with farmers and all end users across Europe. And I had in mind that I need it. I had that need and a challenge to organize this consortium and apply for a project. We had to identify the topic, but we wanted to do something with this regard.
During 3 years, we have been evaluated different crop production and crop quality parameters in the different experiments that we have established in the different countries.
We want to work on sustainable agriculture. We want to help society, not only the scientific community, society in a way so agricultural systems are more sustainable, and we are sure that we have food from sustainable systems. We have destroyed our soils, polluted soils, water, we have decreased biodiversity.
Farmers are aware that the soil is losing its force, its capacity to sustain the plants.
We need to change. We need to change based on nature. We have to increase diversity. We have to go back to the previous agriculture, but taking advantage of what we know right now, the technology we have, and also to join efforts based on nature solutions and digital and technology innovations.
Sustainability should leave for the next generation a better world that is now. I mean, we don't have to exfoliate the nature, the capital, the natural capital, and we have to live in the future a better situation than now.
Why Diverfarming? There is a social demand from consumers and other actors that things have to change. We see that there is no sustainability in many of the agricultural production. We know that we had to perform these systems, and in fact it was a success 60, 70 years ago with the Green Revolution. After the wars, we needed food for a famine Europe in which people needed to eat. And with this revolution, we had fertilizer, we had pesticides, we had new machinery. So it was called the Green Revolution. It was something that was needed so that we could grow and to give progress to our society. Monocultures were part of this Green Revolution, in which it was easier to work with one single product, and that time mostly cereals, because they grow fast and they have a lot of nutritious properties. And it was something that became like essential as a model. I mean, we have industrialized agriculture, was a chance, so we have it. We can feed the global population with no impacts, and we can grow, and in fact we did. And it was a revolution, it was a challenge, we succeeded, as I said, but now we've seen that we have side effects.
Monoculture is a major problem of European agriculture, and it's increasingly recognized by environmentalists and also the agricultural people themselves. What are the solutions that can be found? Of course, in some respect, we have to return to some good principles of conventional agriculture that was practiced for several hundreds or even millennia years without doing much damage to the environment, to the soils.
Why diversification in this area is very important? It's important because there are a lot of problems caused by intensive agriculture that is very common in this area. So together with the farmer, we have analyzed the problems that are typical of this area. Among these problems, one of the most important is the lack of soil organic matter. That is one of the most important components of soil that makes soil fertile, that allows soil to sustain the production of food. So I can show you what does it means don't having soil organic matter, and you can see that these soils don't have soil organic matter. See, they are very poor, and so it's difficult to cultivate them. They don't sustain the productivity of plants, and so we have to apply fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, and we have also, since there is no soil biodiversity, because even the microorganisms cannot be sustained by this soil, and so that's why we have proposed and thought together with farmers what is how we can change the cultivation to improve soil. And in this way we improve also the productivity for farmers, and we allow them to reduce the use of external inputs.
And that's why we decided that we had to make a project like Diverfarming, like farming diversified, increasing the diversity of the crops, but also diversity of insects, of animals, of plants.
Our project, which covers most of the Europe, all the important pedoclimatic regions of Europe, will focus on the changes in soil properties caused by monoculture and how they could be remedied by crop diversification.
We don't want to reduce production. We are an increasing population that we have to feed. So we are based on a society with a well-being, with safety food, with good quality. We don't want to reduce that. And in fact, there are farmers that live on that. And the revenues are essential for them, and the sustainability we mean not only environmental but also social and economic.
We have set up 16 case studies in Diverfarming across all Europe, and the idea of this case study is to evaluate how diversification improves different aspects, and one key aspect is the crop yield, crop productivity.
What are these properties which change in a negative direction? For example, too heavy machines cause soil compaction, and changes in runoff conditions cause erosion problems. There is a loss of nutrients in many areas, and also some of the pedoclimatic regions are characterized by desiccation of the climate.
We don't need to apply so many fertilizers, too many pesticides, so we decrease costs. We can base on nature, we don't degrade our systems. It is something that, but we have to give some instructions, guidelines, because we have lost much of the information or the knowledge that farmers used to have in the past.
The ambition is important, and this is what we had with Raul when we started this project. The ambition to put a stone, no? And of course the wall is very high, but we are starting to build it, and this is important.
Here we can see a typical Finnish landscape with cereal farming, and this is coming more and more. It's coming more and more common to have only annual cropping in the farms, especially in this kind of region where animal production and milk production especially is going down. And in Diverfarming we found that it's good to have this kind of regional view of diversification, so that in this kind of regions it's beneficial to have some milk production, for example for local cheese products, because milk production is typically the kind of production where it's easy to have diverse rotations, because you can use both cereals and grass leys and even oil seed crops for the fodder.
Mutta se oli iloinen yllätys se, että kun maito alkoi tulemaan toisesta pieneltä tilalta, niin yhtäkkiä saatiinkin huomattavasti tai jonkin verran enemmän juustoa siitä. Ja asiakaspalautekin tuli, että nythän tämä on jotenkin vähän erilaista, ja itsekin huomattiin se, että saanto oli maidossa parempi, ja harmiteltiin se, että kun sitä saisi aina sitä samaa maitoa, mutta kun maitoauto tuo sen aina mistä tilalta nyt sitten reitin varrelta tulee, niin ei pystytä aina päättämään. Että nyt kun saataisiin yleisempään tietoisuuteen tämä, että mitä lehmät syö, että saataisiin parempaa maitoa. Se oli meille todella positiivinen yllätys. Ja tosiaan asiakkaatkin pitivät siitä. Ja yllättyi maitotilakin, että voi olla näin, että heillä on vähän erilaista ruokintaa kuin jollakin muulla maitotilalla.
So it's been amazing to see how the understanding of soil issues has improved even during the Diverfarming project. Now we see that of course the understanding of the soils as the foundation of food production is known by farmers, but it's also known by politicians, and that is new, I think. So now even politicians talk fluently about soil carbon stocks and the importance of maintaining the good status of agricultural soils.
Oi joo. vom letzten Jahr. The business as a whole is very complex and it's very interesting business with the wine. You are producing very nice products, and with the herbs it can be also very nice expansion or a good addition for the wine production to have several products. Even in the direct marketing, it makes sense to go for more diversification.
Okay, now we are here in the vineyards of the Weingut Dr. Frey in Cantem in Germany, and it's where we started our study on diversification. And one of the main issues in winery, independently if it's organic or not, is that we need to keep the area below the grape vines normally free of vegetation. So, and this is what we are seeing here, that it's worked. It's normally made in an organic vineyard completely mechanically. Keeping it free from vegetation is meant to avoid the water competence and to avoid the entry of diseases. So one of the ideas that we developed with Kurt and Katharina was to establish aromatic plants inside the vineyards directly below the grape vines. Now we see here thyme and we see here oregano, both species that have been selected, and they are thought to avoid the growth, well, here it's not working 100%, to avoid the growth of weeds, and we see it really works quite well, not 100%, but quite well, and at the same time to cover the soil, to avoid erosion, to hinder the erosion, and to generate an income for the wine growers.
Well, I could start saying everything is very complex, and it's true. So we really have to look at the individual case studies first of all, but anyhow there's some overall trends that we can see in most cases, that really going from the conventional, meaning very simple, very small crop rotations or land use systems, to the more complex organic systems with less tillage, for example. What we can see is that we have either an increase in the biomass of organisms, or we have an increase in diversity, which is then quite often also reflected by effects on the functioning.
This device is used to measure total organic carbon and total nitrogen in ground soil samples, and we use this device in order to check whether the diversification measure increased somehow, or to which extent the levels of organic carbon and nitrogen in the diversified soils. What I did here is I put some water to aggregates which I took from a diversified field in case study 9 of the Diverfarming project. And what we basically can see is that if soil aggregates are obtained from the area where aromatics were grown during the last 3 to 4 years, the soil is more stable against disintegration by water. So the roots, the occurrence of mycorrhizal fungi in particular, and also the higher presence of earthworms creates a more stable soil aggregate structure, or more stable soil structure.
Ja, ich finde es sehr schön, an etwas weiterzuarbeiten, was vor mehr als 100 Jahren schon oder durch meine Familie gestartet wurde. Und irgendwo fühlt man sich oder fühle ich mich dann auch verbunden mit meiner Familie, vielleicht mehr als der ein oder andere. Und ja, meine Familie oder die Familienmitglieder, die sich um den Weinbau gekümmert haben, die haben, auch wenn es mal schwierig war, die hatten nie die Idee, den Weinbau aufzugeben. Es war, obwohl es gar nicht die Hauptprofession war oder die Haupttätigkeit meiner Familie, war ja Tabakfabrikation und Tabakhandel. Aber sie haben immer den Weinbau mit in der Familie gehalten. Und so habe ich dann schon einerseits eine gewisse Verpflichtung gemerkt oder gespürt, den Weinbau weiterzuführen, aber eine Verpflichtung, die ich mich auch fähig gefühlt habe zu übernehmen. Also das macht schon Sinn und ich mache es ja auch nicht alleine. Wir haben ja, mein Mann oder der Rest meiner Familie ist ja auch noch mit dabei. Ja, zufälligerweise waren es bei uns in der Familie immer Frauen, die den Weinbau vererbt bekommen haben. Das ist aber wirklich nur Zufall, das war jetzt keine bewusste Entscheidung immer. Und ja, wir arbeiten ökologisch, weil wir das eigentlich, also sowohl mein Mann als auch ich haben schon als Kinder schon mitbekommen, dass ökologisch oder nachhaltig und naturnah zu wirtschaften auch wirtschaftlich funktioniert.
So we worked quite a long time with Katharina and Cord here in the vineyards in Kansum. They have a small winery in the near village, and the work with them is very comfortable, very easy. They know a lot what scientists do because they are themselves scientists in a second way of life.
Ja, dieses Projekt hier, es war ganz schön, oder überhaupt mit der Wissenschaft, mit Wissenschaftlern zusammenzuarbeiten, ein wissenschaftliches Projekt mit zu begleiten, da man natürlich immer das Gefühl hat, man macht mit seiner Wirtschaftsweise das Richtige, man arbeitet nachhaltig, aber ist es tatsächlich auch so, zeigt natürlich dann ein wissenschaftliches Projekt. Also das war das Schöne, dann hier auch eine Idee einzubringen und zu sehen, okay, ist es positiv? Ist es negativ? Was ist positiv? Wie kann man es in die Praxis reinbringen? Also diese Verbindung hat mir auch besonders gut gefallen, dass wirklich die Wissenschaft direkt in die Praxis reingeht.
Also wir haben uns für das Projekt einen Weinberg ausgesucht, der sehr typisch ist hier für unsere Weinberge. Ein recht steiler, steiniger Boden und letztendlich gibt das dann auch wieder ein gutes Feedback von den Ergebnissen her, was hier in der Region mit dem Kräuteranbau im Weinberg möglich ist.
If you can see 20 years ago all vineyards in the Mosel area were brown because you see the soil, and now if you go around it, everything is green. That means they already realized how important it is to green the driving lanes against erosion, and the big issue is the part underneath the vine, and they already understand that there is something to do, and maybe the herbs are a very good thing and they will do it in the future.
Ja, und das wäre natürlich toll, wenn man gerade für solche neuen Ansätze, den Mehrfruchtanbau, wie wir ihn jetzt hier im Wein machen, da auch Investitionsprogramme hätte oder Gründerförderung, um sowas wirklich noch professioneller an den Start zu bringen. Das war jetzt im Rahmen von dem Projekt hier möglich. Mit der Projektfinanzierung konnten wir wirklich auch hier in dem Fall mit viel Handarbeit das Ganze darstellen. Aber für die Zukunft müsste Mechanisierung auch entwickelt werden. Und dafür wäre es wirklich notwendig, um so ein neues Produktionssystem aufzubauen, da ein bisschen Förderprogramme zu sehen.
Ja, die Verantwortung, die ich damit übernommen habe oder wir als Familie, sehe ich einerseits natürlich gegenüber unseren Vorfahren, die das aufgebaut haben und erhalten haben in der Familie, aber vielmehr auch im Hinblick auf die nächsten Generationen oder die Gesellschaft, dass wir als Arbeitende auf dem Land, mit dem Land uns dieser Verantwortung bewusst sein müssen auch und sehen, dass wir eben so nachhaltig wie möglich arbeiten. Und ich hoffe, dass sollten nachfolgende Generationen auch an in diesen Weinbergen arbeiten, dass sie sich dieser Verantwortung genauso bewusst sind und das eben weiterhin zukunftsträchtig erhalten. Das wäre mir sehr wichtig.
Niin jäykkä, niin me Kristiina siellä keskellä vaikka, niin, ja sit hyppeilet, joo, tää näin. Vähän jäykkä. Seuraavalla kerralla lisää. Nimenomaan. Suuret kiitokset, joo, ja työn iloa päivään. Yes, hyvä.
The cooperation between us researchers and Paavolan kotijuustola in Diverfarming project has been very fruitful. We now understand much better the challenges this kind of small companies have in their production while they maintain the milk production in the region. And we also now know what kind of environmental data are useful, for example, in marketing products from this kind of facilities.
Abbiamo deciso di aderire al progetto Diverfarming anzitutto perché non è stato un progetto accademico, è stato un progetto davvero molto concreto. È un progetto articolato su più anni, su più culture e non soltanto sulla cultura del pomodoro, perché effettivamente quello che serve a noi, agli agricoltori, è valutare un intero sistema di coltivazione, non la semplice coltura stagionale. E in più gli argomenti cardine di Diverfarming sono un po' l'ABC della sostenibilità, quindi la rotazione con colture leguminose, piuttosto che l'utilizzo di sostanza organica, piuttosto che la minima lavorazione.
In this case study, we decided together with farmers and the transformation industry to introduce a pea for food after durum wheat.
In this farm, together with Casalasco and CREA and the University of Tuscia, we have proposed a rotation. So we have every year a different crop in a field. Now you can see here we have wheat winter wheat for the production of flour for produce bread, not pasta, only bread. And here, if you can see, we have tomato. And we have also a leguminous crop.
The introduction of pea allow to reorganize, to review the fertilization strategies, because pea is a legume, so can fix nitrogen from the atmosphere, and that nitrogen will be available for the next crop.
Instead, here you can see that they cultivate the tomato. So last year there was the wheat here, and now there is the tomato. And even here you can see still that is cultivated, so it's a soil. And here you can see the cracks. The cracks of the soil due to the fact that this soil don't have enough soil organic matter, and so the water goes through the cracks and is lost for the plant. That's why our idea together with the farmers was to improve greatly the soil organic matter.
CS7 started in 1917 in October, so we took the first sampling, and we take again the sampling 3 years after. Farmers are very happy to the results obtained in these 3 years, so they decided together with the researchers, at CREA and with the cooperative of Casalasco, to implement the diversification.
We are reaching several objectives altogether. I mean, using closing a cycle, but also improve the quality of our soils. So in this way, we have another, let's say, positive effect of diversification.
So this last year in October, November, they introduced a cover crop, a mixture based on barley and fava bean. So you can see in that field there is barley and fava bean that in a few days will be terminated and will be used as green manure for the next crop that will be tomato.
So farmers decided that they wanted to work this way, and seeing all the benefits, how to implement it, thinking on their farms, how they can adopt the strategy with some tips from our part, and they are doing that. And in fact, we have neighbors in the Netherlands from our partner that are implementing the intercropping in the area, and it's spreading. And when a farmer sees that things work, they can do it perfectly and talk to the other farmer and do it, and it's spreading slowly, but it's spreading.
Ja, ik woon hier in het noorden van Nederland, een van de mooiste plekken. Ik heb een vrouw en 3 kinderen en ja, wij vinden het heel leuk om biologisch boer te zijn. Hiernaast zien we dus het veld waar ik met Diverfarming voor begonnen ben. Hier heb ik dus maïs gezaaid met stokslabonen. En een beetje met hetzelfde verhaal als in dit gewas. En maïs geeft veel energie, maar het is niet zo goed voor de grond. En als je er dus stokslabonen bij zaait, is het goed voor de grond. De grond wordt vruchtbaar ervan. En het is voor de koeien ook beter. De koeien eten energie en eiwit. We zullen misschien kunnen proberen om de zaadjes. Ik heb het 5 dagen geleden gezaaid. Dus alles zit net in de grond. Dus het staat nog niet boven. Dat duurt nog wel een weekje. Het voordeel van de bonen is ook als er een maïsplantje wegvalt, wordt de bodem mooi bedekt door de stokslabonen. Dus minder onkruiddruk. Het is wat gezonder voor de grond. Dus ik ben enthousiast erover. Het kost ook geen opbrengst, dus alleen maar positief eigenlijk. En biologisch heb je er ook niet meer werk van. Je kan gewoon wieteren, je kan gewoon schoffelen. geen enkel probleem.
Here we installed the experiment here with maize, maize with beans. We had 3 treatments and we tried to compare the monocrops against the diversified crops. So as you can see, we have we have cows, and then the experiment consisted in growing fodder crops. So Ben van Tilburg, the owner of this farm, he used to grow grass and then to rotate it with maize, only maize. But after doing this experiment of the diverfarming, he has changed and now is growing maize with beans together. So what were the results of this experiment was that the nitrogen in the soil reduces. So that was very nice because the nitrates in the soil reduced with a diversification with maize with beans compared with only maize. And also for the cows, the nutrients of maize with beans are better than only maize. So Ben is very glad that we have done this experiment here in his area.
Hi, ik ben Joost en ik ben een goede vriend van Ben. En ik heb hetzelfde experiment op het moment gedaan. En met mais en stokbonen. En daarin zagen wij dat de stokbonen best wel wat invloed hadden op de mais. En daarbij zag je dus dat de stokbonen die geven de stikstof aan de mais, waardoor de mais dus dat niet meer uit de grond hoeft te halen. En dat vinden wij een groot voordeel.
So yes, it was very interesting to work in this project of the diverfarming because different plants together, they bring better conditions to the soil than only one type of plant. So here maize with beans, they resulted a good crop for the cows and then and also for the soil, because as you know, the beans can fix nitrogen, and the nitrogen is good for the soil and for the growth of the maize. So together they do a very good combination.
Okay, we can try here to see if we find some. Can I take this one?
Yes.
Okay. It's very. This soil is really very hard. Okay, I think we have some sample here. Okay, so here you can see the nodules inside. Yes, inside the nodules there are microorganisms called rhizobium, and the rhizobium is able to take from the atmosphere the nitrogen and to transform it in order to allow the plant to use it for nutrition.
Yes.
So it's like a fabric. Inside this plant there is a plant, an industrial plant, where there is this transformation. Consider that this transformation is made also by man, but is very costly, energetic. Instead, here is all made by these small microorganisms that work for us.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Gli agricoltori sono un po' i custodi della fertilità del terreno, ne sono assolutamente consapevoli, sanno che sanno che le loro attività possono influenzare negativamente la fertilità del terreno, per cui devono mettere in pratica tutto quello che è possibile, adeguare le operazioni culturali in modo tale da mantenere la fertilità, mantenere un certo livello di produzione e di qualità, che sono poi l'interesse di tutta la filiera agroalimentare, perché l'agricoltore rimane il motore della filiera agroalimentare.
Wat zo mooi aan dit veld is, ook als het al langer biologisch is, dat je allerlei kruiden krijgt. Hè. We zien de paardenbloem, madeliefje, klaver hebben we hier. En klaver zorgt, deze klaver die zorgt voor de stikstofbinding, omdat we helemaal geen kunstmest rijden. En het gras moet toch groeien, dus daarom zijn we behoorlijk afhankelijk van de klaver. Hoe meer klaver, hoe meer grasgroei we hebben. En wat belangrijk is voor de koe, dat ze gevarieerd eten. Mensen moeten gevarieerd eten en veel buiten zijn en dat is voor koeien ook goed. Dus vandaar dat we het al 30 jaar op deze manier doen. Nou, maar kijken hoe goed ze het naar de zin hebben. Oh. En wat zo leuk is, we zitten hier ook vlakbij de zee. Hier heb je de zeedijk en daarachter ligt dus de Waddenzee. Deze grond is dus pas 200 jaar oud. Die dijk is van 1863. Dus deze grond is 250 jaar oud pas en er zitten ook nog schelpjes in de grond. Ik zie net een veldleeuwerik hier wegvliegen ook. It's a very nice cow, but pain in the ass. They're in good shape, and when you farm like this, the cows have also very good hoofs. The legs are very good. They're stronger. And what do you think of the Dutch sky? Jesus, the Dutch sky is nice, eh? Yes. With the clouds.
Yes. As I told you, analyze, for example, carbon, nitrogen, or pH, electrical conductivity, because it is very important that we have a lot of different species in soil, but also we need to have a lot of functions in soils, because this is biodiversity. Functional and structural biodiversity. If we have biodiversity, we have a soil, a healthier soil, and we have also resilience of the soil and the possibility that plants can grow better, because the availability of nutrients is influenced by the activity of microorganisms, is very influenced by both species that are present in soil, fungi or bacteria, and also it is very important what these species do in soils. For example, fungi are very important because they construct a sort of web to transfer to plants nutrients in cooperation together with bacteria. Some bacteria can take nitrogen from the air, from the atmosphere, and fix in soil to the use for the plants. This is a way to sample the... Okay, it's enough.
Changes in agriculture are very slow. when you are used to work in a specific manner, to change it if you don't really know that things are going to be for good, because it is your resources are put on this system, and it is known that you have to be sure that everything is going to be good. You are going to increase your revenues or decrease the production cost to adopt it. Farmers are highly innovator because they have to adapt to the new situation, new markets, new competitors globally. So it is something that we need to work together, and the best way is that they don't have to be afraid of working with researchers. We can speak the same language, we can understand each other, and it's the only way to progress, to really find the right solution for a sustainable agriculture.
And we can do also in cheap ways. No, cheap ways is cover crops, is to use the material that is available in the area and that can represent a fertilizer if you use it properly. And he said also, but we need to guarantee the farmer's income.
From the first day, that we needed to include a manufacturer in machinery in the project, because we cannot propose something that is impossible because there is no technology for that. We are based in technology, it is something essential right now. So we have to go back to diversification as in the 19th century, but with the technology and digital innovation that we know right now.
What we have here in front of us is exactly the prototype we studied for a Diverfarming operation. Diverfarming operation is a diversification of crops. What was our task? Our task was to start, to design, to provide to the Diverfarming a prototype that could be used and could be useful, and not only useful but save some GHG emission, including fuel consumption and everything. So what we have here is a 2-3 meters in-row weeder. In-row weeder, this one, a tool designed especially to works and making the mechanical weeding on the rows or between the plants, as we said. Between the plants we need not to use the chemical but to use mechanical weeding. The meaning of this tool is less passes on the field means less fuel consumption, less GHG emissions, less erosion, and the possibility for the farmer to have more money.
The main constraint of this area is the low precipitation and also the high evapotranspirations. Another characteristic of this area is the wind. We are in an area in which wind blows frequently and with high intensity. So this accelerates and intensifies the losses of water from the soil. So this is why we decided to go for two crops, one pea and the other one beet. So we established different crop rotations in which the barley and the winter wheat were grown together with the pea and the beet.
Estamos en el laboratorio de análisis de suelo, donde hemos realizado todas las medidas, tanto físicas como químicas, de las muestras que hemos venido recogiendo durante los 3 años que ha durado el proyecto Diverfarming. Uno de los parámetros que hemos analizado es el carbono de la biomasa microbiana. Aquí lo que hacemos es medir pues la actividad que tienen los microorganismos en el suelo. Para ello lo que hacemos es que los incubamos con una disolución de glucosa durante 1 hora y luego medimos la actividad que tienen. Se ha encontrado que este parámetro es mucho mayor en el caso de las parcelas que provienen de diversificación. Por eso con esto vemos que diversificar cultivos sí que es indicativo o sí que provoca un mayor aumento en la microbiología del suelo.
Estamos en una zona donde tenemos precisamente los tres manejos que podemos tener en olivar. Uno, con cubiertas, que llevamos 6 años, 5 o 6 años trabajando con ellas, donde está la diversificación también. Otra, el laboreo convencional, que se está viendo aquí, muy agresivo con el suelo. Y a continuación lo que tenemos es un no laboreo. Desde el punto de vista climático, el no laboreo, los resultados que estamos teniendo después de 16, 17 años de trabajo, es que estos suelos liberan gran cantidad de carbono a la atmósfera. Podríamos decir que la situación más idónea sería el intentar tener unas cubiertas, como el caso de Diverfarming, más o menos manejadas para poder controlar la reducción de la degradación del suelo y mejorar las propiedades físico-químicas de los suelos.
Lots of years of intense culture and monoculture has caused lots of problems to the soil, such as soil erosion, soil degradation. We, in our experimental farm, we tried 3 diversification in the 3 alleys: saffron, lavandula and veg and oats in alternation.
Lo que estamos viendo es una de las diversificaciones que se plantearon en el proyecto, concretamente es lavandín. Una de las características que tiene el lavandín, concretamente en las calles de olivar, es que reduce mucho la erosión hídrica, puesto que son una barrera en zonas donde hay más de un 3% de pendiente. Además, el aceite de lavanda o de lavandín es un aceite esencial que actualmente se utiliza para muchos cosméticos y que, bueno, en España, por ejemplo, toda la producción de aceite de lavanda o de lavandín está totalmente vendida antes de producirse.
Diverfarming want to improve not only the incomes of the farmers, but also the soil quality too.
Esta es otra diversificación, aunque prácticamente no se aprecie debido a las condiciones climáticas que hemos tenido este año, concretamente es avena, pero la escasa precipitación ha hecho que prácticamente no aflore. Pero bueno, el poco porte que tiene puede ser más que suficiente para que cuando llegue en otoño las precipitaciones se reduzca la erosión hídrica en la zona y se pueda luego después, se quede en el suelo para incorporarlo como materia orgánica e incrementar las cantidades de carbono que tiene el suelo.
It's important to know the input of biomass into the soils, into the system. So we can later calculate the organic carbon content in the biomass and how much organic carbon content is entering the soil and the system. Here we have very harsh environmental conditions. For instance, we have these soils with a lot of silt and clay. These soils have also very low organic matter content and also have a very bad structure. We get a crust in the soil, as you see, and the water is difficult to infiltrate here, and we have quite important erosion rates. So we thought if we could get some good results diversifying this type of agroecosystem in these extreme conditions, the results could be much better in other more favorable conditions.
En este caso de estudio lo que se ha hecho es diversificar el cultivo de mandarino con diferentes rotaciones. Por un lado con la rotación de haba y cebada y beza y por otro lado con la rotación de haba, verdolaga y judía africana, que son cultivos que están bien adaptados a estas condiciones locales.
So we introduced this type of thyme that is Thymus gemalis,
and it's a time that grows naturally in the area. So this means that it's well adapted to the soil conditions and to the climatological conditions. We also introduce other crop that is the Caparis spinosa that grows also naturally in the area. And the idea was that introducing these crops we would increase biodiversity as we can see, and with more vegetation cover we will improve organic matter entrance in the soil. This will improve soil structure. This will lead to better hydrological properties of soil with higher infiltration rates and less runoff on the surface, and the soil will be protected from erosion processes.
El fin de estas prácticas de diversificación es que, independientemente del destino de estos cultivos secundarios que se establezcan entre las calles, es que el suelo no esté desnudo, no esté desprovisto de vegetación, para que no haya esta serie de problemas asociados al monocultivo de mandarinos. De este caso de estudio hemos concluido una serie de beneficios desde el punto de vista agronómico, ambiental y económico.
After 3 years, in this short term, we have seen some promising results. For instance, the soils here are very poor and have a very bad structure conditions. But after 3 years, we have seen, like in this big cloth, that some pores have been created and due to the presence of larger aggregates than in the monocrop areas.
Ahogy látható, ez egy szőlőtermővidék. Itt a lényege a kísérleti periódusnak az volt, hogy különböző fedő növényekkel kísérletezzünk a környezeti problémák ellen. Az egyik gyakorta használatos fedő növény az a fű vagy fűkeverék. A másik, ami a kísérletbe lett bevezetve, és egyáltalán nem elterjedt, ez az Achillea millefolium nevű járó, azaz cickafarkfű, aminek szocioökológiai jelentősége is van, mivel ez egy produktív gyógynövény, amely többlet hasznot hozhat a gazdálkodók számára, mindamellett igénytelen és jól véd az erózió ellen.
In the vineyards in Hungary, it's a very big problem, the erosion, and against the erosion we can use different cover cropping systems. And inside the project I measured the different impact of cover cropping system on grapevine leaves and grapevine photosynthetic.
Nagyon szépen terül, nagyon szép fedést ad, a gyökérzónája megfelelően ágas-bogas, tehát az erózió ellen, és a növény, a talaj mikrobiológiai életközösségét is segíti ezáltal. Ezek az eredmények, amelyek itt a CS11-nél születtek, mindenképpen figyelemre méltóak, ugyanis nincs kompetíció, nincs verseny a főnövény, a szőlő és a fedőnövény között, se a vízháztartás tekintetében, se a nutriensek tekintetében.
So it's working. So you have to select the proper combinations, the proper strategy, how to combine, when. And there is not only an environmental benefit, but also economic in the end, and also social, because if we increase the yields, we reduce production costs, there is more money to hire more people, to increase the surface in abandoned areas in the rural Europe. So in the end, it's the future.
Il progetto Diverfarming ha dato dei risultati, abbiamo dimostrato che la rotazione comunque garantisce un risultato produttivo migliore rispetto al ristoppio e inoltre la diversificazione permette di alternare colture diverse in mercati diversi, per cui riduce anche molto il rischio di mercato e il rischio di impresa per l'azienda agricola.
La qualità di un prodotto, ma anche le sue origini, la filiera, la diversificazione produttiva e la rotazione dei campi sono gli elementi ormai prerequisiti per un mercato globale. Il consumatore moderno oggi conosce, riconosce e cerca queste caratteristiche nei prodotti essenziali semplici che ogni giorno consuma, soprattutto se rappresentano prodotti della terra, prodotti dell'agricoltura o prodotti zootecnici.
In fact, the European Commission knows it with the results of our projects, how they contact the farmers that are changing the systems, they know it. And in the new policies, the new strategies, new CAP, they are including this diversification, in fact, in the new eco schemes of the CAP. It is included diversification, rotations, and more incentives for diversifying the crops.
We need that the crops have a competitive price in the market, and we need also that machinery can be used in the new frame of the field. But also we need that the technicians and the politicians create the proper atmosphere for adoption of these crops. So this means that we have to, as scientists, make an effort to transfer the message to technicians and politicians and work together with farmers. And the farmers need to be involved in the process since the beginning. So to be owners, to be the owners of the results, and this would facilitate the adoption.
Now, in this moment, we have also decided to try to forecast what would happen in the future with the application of diversification. And this can be done because we have the so-called biophysical models. So we can run these models and see what can happen in the future with the application of diversification. In fact, we have done this operation not only for Italy, but for all the countries participating to Diverfarming, and we have obtained well, nice results, because in most of the situation, for example, the soil organic carbon is going to increase with diversification in the future, even in a framework of climate change.
These interesting discussions, this interesting exchange of point of views that we have had, if we extrapolate this to the entire Europe, in which all the partners, the researchers or the scientific partners that have worked also together with private companies, with farmer unions, with farmers association, this exchange of ideas, this exchange of point of views have also been have also contributed to the project in the different areas, no? So and in the different case studies. So this is probably one of the, for me, this is one of the most interesting things of this project.
I mean, we have some ideas of what will happen, but we know what we can do, for sure. This we know. And diversification is one of the things that we can do.
thanks to agriculture, we are society. So when we decided to domesticate the plants, is where we settle down and we establish that society. If we want to be society, we depend on agriculture. We need agriculture, and if we want a sustainable world, a healthy world, we have to work with agriculture together, as we have been doing since we are a society.
L'agricoltura è quell'attività che ha consentito all'uomo di affrancarsi dalla ricerca continua, quotidiana del cibo. Grazie all'agricoltura sono nate le arti, è nata la filosofia. La società umana si è evoluta nel corso dei secoli grazie all'agricoltura.
La agricultura es parte de la naturaleza, crecen sobre el suelo, dependen del agua, entonces tienen que estar integrados en esos ambientes naturales, tienen que convivir con las plantas que lo hacían tradicionalmente, con esos insectos, esas aves, que nos vamos a ayudar conjuntamente, la naturaleza, seres humanos y la agricultura que está justo en medio.
La diversità è un valore per l'uomo ed è un valore anche per l'agricoltura. Quando siamo tutti diversi siamo più felici di quando siamo tutti uguali, diciamo la verità.